Trigger warning, it's BuzzFeed again. This time we get to deal with multiracial special snowflakes who feel bad that they get their races misidentified, and this makes their liberal fifis hurt. And even though the solution is very easy, getting out from under their cult-like identity politics seems to be far too hard for these pathetic whiners. So let's see why more paid BuzzFeed shills think that being multiracial is hard to do.
I think I'm what Hollywood would call ethnically ambiguous.
No, nobody would say that because nobody gives a damn. You're an idiot. Oh, look at all the sad faces. How pathetic.
When people first glance at me, the first thing they see is a white guy, and usually I'll have to end up explaining to people that I am half Mexican and half white.
Why do you think anyone cares? Why do you think it matters to anyone, including you? Why can't you just be satisfied to be a person?
No one has ever been able to correctly identify who I am my entire life.
You are you. There you go. You are not where your ancestors came from. That's really why the regressive left has become so backwards these days. Remember when Martin Luther King Jr. said this?
I have a dream. My 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character.
Today, regressives only care about the color of their skin. The measure of their character is entirely irrelevant, and in a lot of cases, completely vile. Martin Luther King Jr. would be ashamed of you assholes.
I've gotten Cuban, Puerto Rican, Dominican, half black, half white.
People think I'm Asian.
Egyptian, Polynesian, Asian.
Fully white or fully Asian.
How about ridiculous regressive retard? How close is that?
Almost everyone misreads me in some way. It's very hard to guess Danish and Indian from a first glance.
And why would we care about any of that? Why am I supposed to give a crap that you're Danish and Indian? Why do you? What difference does it make? Do you think it makes you a better human being? Or is it just part of your ridiculous identity politics?
I've honestly heard everything.
Sometimes I wish I could walk in and just be recognized as a Mexican American.
Why can't you just be an American? Do you have dual citizenship? Because if you don't, you're not a Mexican. You might have a Hispanic background, but Mexican is a nationality, not a race. You are an idiot.
Sometimes people will come up to me on the street and start speaking Spanish frantically, and I can't respond because I don't speak Spanish.
And that's fine. People make mistakes and people have unwarranted views. You correct them. I have Asian friends who speak nothing but English, and people have tried to speak to them in Chinese before, but they don't get upset. They don't get butthurt. They simply correct the misconception. Why don't you give that a shot?
I find that depending on where I am, people read me differently.
They tend to think that I'm whatever they are. People of a Hispanic background think I'm Hispanic. People who are Asian think I look Asian.
But it only really matters how you portray yourself. If you act like an identity politics liberal moron, of course they're going to try to play the identity politics game with you. Stop doing that.
An interesting part of my journey as a young multiracial person growing up was rejection from sort of both sides of my ethnic identity.
And that's a good thing. Stop having an ethnic identity. You choose to self-identify with a particular set of racial groups, which I think is utterly idiotic. I know where my ancestors came from. I just don't care. Their origins mean nothing to me, and your ancestors' origins should mean nothing at all to you. That's how reality ought to work.
Just something that I grew up with my whole life. I don't fit in. I don't belong to any ethnic group 100%.
So what? The only group that ought to matter to you is being human. You don't have to fit in with any racial group, and if that racial group is pressuring you to be part of their in-group or out-group, then that racial group is being racist. But hey, the left is all about being racist, isn't it?
I never saw myself as different from anybody else until someone else pointed it out.
And there you go. You're not different than anyone else. You're not more special because you're one racial background or less special because you're another. And that freaks the liberal idiots out. So they insisted that you join their racist cult and view yourself in racial terms as a victim.
The last thing you want to do is stand out. You want to blend in as much as possible.
Yet you're in a video specifically trying to stand out, and you apparently don't comprehend the problem with this.
We talk about race like it's this like built-in intrinsic thing, but the reality is we're mostly talking about looks, right?
You are, because you're the one trying to identify as multiracial as though that makes the slightest bit of difference. Why don't you just identify as human? Why do you make a big deal about this? Oh yeah, because BuzzFeed's paying you. Got it.
If I'm going to be white, well then why can't I have blonde hair and blue eyes? If I'm going to be Mexican, then why can't I have dark skin and speak perfect Spanish? People think I'm Asian, why can't I have, be really tiny and skinny and like fit into all these stereotypes? But I'm not a stereotype, I'm just like me.
They make hair dye and colored contacts, But there you go again, casting yourself as a victim of genetics instead of just dealing with reality like a normal person.
And for mixed people who sort of live in between the lines, we sort of just have to kind of be more than our racial background.
You could just ignore your racial background, You're getting so close to getting it, and then you take a hard left into La La Land. Having a certain skin color or genetic background is irrelevant, so stop pretending like it is. Be who you choose to be. Don't be who your identity politics forces you to be.
You don't need to fit a mold that other people think you should fit.
It's difficult learning that you don't have to decide what race you are.
Nope, it's not difficult. Anyone can do it at any time. Apparently, what is difficult is for you special little snowflakes to keep from following the liberal tide wherever it rolls up on the shores of reality. You're choosing to be stupid, and then you're getting upset because you're choosing to be stupid. Get a grip.
There's no textbook on how to be multiracial and be okay with it. You just kind of have to forge ahead and be your own person.
You could just, not identify as multiracial. How about that?
I am who I am, and no one else is like me, and that's pretty cool.
Yet you're on a stupid BuzzFeed video playing the victim card. Fuck you. I guess I can't be surprised because, BuzzFeed. It exists to be racist and sexist and all the crap that the modern political left claims to be against, but is, in fact, their bread and butter. Instead of saying race doesn't matter and you shouldn't pay attention to it, they get out the magnifying glass and say race is all that matters. Gender is all that matters. You have to be out and out racist and sexist, otherwise you can't be part of their club. And people ought to take that as a sign to get the hell out of liberal Dodge, but they don't. They just double down on their racist and sexist ideology and play the victim card so they can feel bad about themselves and how awful it is when you have to fit into a liberal identity politics mold. Well, stop. It's easy. All you have to do is grow up, rent a clue, and deal with reality as it is, rather than how the left wishes it would be. Because reality is a lot better than tiptoeing around libtard land. Give it a shot.